Okay, here we go again. We just learned what the benefits of using a mocking framework is compared to using just simple Java code without any libraries. We know that we just need a mocking framework. I showed you some, introduced you Mockito, and now I want to show you some more features of Mockito. Therefore, I just created a new method, the add if not existing method, which takes an animal and just adds the animal that is passed to this method when no animal with that name of this animal is actually in the list or the set of animals that we already have. Only then it's added to the animal repository. So, as you see here, we have actually it's a little bit different. You want to assure, for example, if we pass an animal that is has a name that's actually already in use by some other animal in our repository, that the add animal method is never called. In the examples we have had a look at before, it was always something like we just saying this method returns something like a list of animals with these 3 animals in it when we call it. Now we want to verify something. We want to verify that the add animal method is never called. In order to do that, Mockito has a verify method. So what we actually did is, or what we have to do is, we write a test for this method. I wrote 2 actually to show you some different matches for the arguments. So let's start with the first one here. As you see from before, we actually stop the method here. We're saying when the animal repository get animals method is called, then we return a list which contains a dog that's named Mike. So what we actually want to do now is want to test if we call the add if not existing method with a cat named Mike, then it's actually not added to the list, that the add animal method is not called. What we do for this here, or to achieve that, is we call Mockito verify. The mock object as first parameter that we want to verify something on. After that, we define what we want to verify exactly. In this case, we want to verify something like never. We want to verify a never call of the add animal method with these parameter cat to add. There are other things like we can say times if you maybe, for example, want to verify that it, maybe we change the implementation and add every animal n, for example, 10 times, and we could say if the animal should be added because it doesn't exist, then it should be the add animal method should be called 10 times, for example. The never method is the same as times 0. We can also say something like at least once, at most. That's some non-strict matching, so that we can say something like it should be called at least once or at most, something like that, because we're not sure, or we don't want to actually count each method, but we just want to be sure that it's actually called or not called too often. So in our case, we just stick to the never call here, and we can just pass here the argument that we want to, the method saying that this method isn't called with this argument here. If we actually don't care about if whatever is passed in here, we could also do that in the in this way here. We can pass an argument matcher to this method here, this mocked method. And the cool thing is there's something like argument matches any, which matches any argument. This any method is returning the actual type of the, this is inferred like of the generic type here. So the add animal method has the same signature here, we can see that here, but it actually has the same, if we go in there, it's the same method. It isn't anything different, but we can somehow saying that you want this here to be any animal, even not Mike and not whatever, cat or dog or whatever we can think of. That's what these matches does here. We can also pass more advanced things or write more advanced matches here. So that's what I just wanted to show you in the code here. Now we switch to the documentation, because the documentation is really, really good of Mockito. The cool thing is you can find it actually in the Java doc of Mockito. So there's actually the newest documentation and a really, really cool thing here. You can see what the different things are in it here. We have 40 things. I just show you some things and not all the things here, and talk a little bit about it. And here the examples are almost all very simple and bound to some list methods or a list interface, because everyone knows list. But as they say it here, say in the manual here, you don't actually want to mock lists, but it's just for the showcase here, so be aware of it. So as I said before, if you want to verify something, you can see here it's the same thing as I showed you from before. You can mock a list here in this example, and say this list class is mocked, and you can just verify that it's actually called. So you say if I call mock list add 1, then I verify afterwards that mock list add 1 is called. It's very stupid verification, but you can do that, for example. Most of the time you don't want to do that. You just want to verify things that you really want to verify. I also showed you some stopping. What I didn't show you for now is something like throwing exceptions. You can also say something like, when in this case here we mocked a linked list, when we call a linked list get 1, we want to throw a runtime exception, for example. Then you can define this. It's defined that in this way here. That's really no magic here. Then the argument matches here. It's the next thing that's of interest. As I said before, there are different ones. You can have something like any methods. These are just static imports here. So there's an argument matches. There are lots of different methods. For example, an any int method. So it just matches any integer that comes in it. So you can use that also not only in the verification type, you can also use it in the stopping type. So you can somehow say, when I call this method here with any integer argument, then it should always return something, whatever, an element, a string element. You can also say something like, here in the last example, use the argThat method, and you can pass Java 8 lambdas to it. And the cool thing is, then you can just somehow verify the argument that you pass to it. So, for example, the method is the add method takes a string, because we actually said it is linked list of string, for example, and we can verify if the add method gets passed a string that is somehow a length greater than 5 in this case here, then we want this verification. We want to verify that the method actually got called. Okay. Maybe it's more interesting if you somehow have different stubbings, where you want to say something like, when I call this method with this parameter, I actually wanted to return this here, and if I call it with this parameter, I want to return something else. Okay. So the argument matches. There are lots of different argument matches. So be aware of it, just look at the documentation for it. Another interesting thing is maybe you thought about void methods. Void methods are always some kind of problem because there could be problems when you want to pass void methods to the Mockito API. So you have to somehow turn around the call types here, or the way you call things. So you have something like not saying when mocklist dot clear then return, that this doesn't work. When mocklist then return doesn't work because clear doesn't return anything. So we have to somehow do the other way around. So you want to let the method throw something, then we have to say do throw new runtime exception when the mock object dot the method we want to call. That's the thing you have to know when we talk about void methods. Just go back to the beginning. This is a little bit hopping here, but the examples are so good that we don't need actually, or don't want to implement them again because it's not worth it. Another interesting thing is that you can actually use spy objects. Spy objects are something like partial mocks. Let's go to the thing here. Where is it? I have just to look here. So we can also, instead of using a mock, we can also say we want a spy method. We can do that with an annotation also. We don't have to call the method here. We can call the method, but we can also use an annotation, the add spy annotation. If we do that, the cool thing is we do that on real instances. So in this example, you see it's not just the class. We actually create an instance and spy on that instance. If we do nothing, the linked list behaves the same way than before without the spy thing. So it's just a normal object interacting with the outside world. But we can, if we like, we can. The cool thing is we can actually mock some methods of these class. So the cool thing is we can, for example, mock the clear method or something else that we like to mock, because maybe there are some implementation details where we don't know how to actually get the data out of it. For example, a good test case would be something like we want to get the actual date from the current date, for example. We depend on the current date, and we have a method, a utility method in our class that returns the current method, and this method is maybe not static and final, so we can partially mock it. Then this would be a use case for it. You don't want to do that very often, but there could be some situations where you want to do that. As I said before, here in 21 you can see that you can use the spy annotations for that. So use it if you like. This is almost every time better than just using the spy calls. What else is there? You can also capture, if you like, the argument that you pass to methods. So let's go. This is the last one I want actually to show you, because all the other things you can look up on your own. But the interesting thing is, for example, you can capture arguments. So you can somehow call the verify method on your mock, do something, and then you can capture arguments. An argument capture you define this way here, and can, for example, in this case we want to capture a person class, an argument of type person, and in order to do that we verify the mock call, do something, and here we call argument.capture, and this is the way we capture the argument. After that we can actually assert something on this argument. This is pretty cool. If, for example, you think about different chains, call chains going on, where your objects maybe get changes by side effects, gets manipulated on the way, and at the end you maybe want to save your entity, and your method, for example, is void that saves something, and you can't actually verify what's gone into the database because you just mock the database away, but you want to verify that the data that would be passed to the database is correct, and you can just capture the argument and check the captured data against your expectations. This is a use case where you actually need argument captures. So if you have void methods, you can't actually, or the method returns something like true or false, and nothing like the object that was stored in the database, stored or should be stored. This could be also the case. So not even for void methods, but in other use cases, it could be also the case because the method doesn't return what you actually want to check against. So as I said, read the documentation here. It's all in it. There are lots of good examples around there. Stick to the annotations. Don't use all the things that are in here. There's always something like, don't use it. Here are things that you might use, but don't use it. Like here on the bottom, there's the setting mocks. Every time you call reset on your mock, it's something like you have to ask yourself if you're doing something wrong, because actually you don't need to reset mocks. When you have to do that, your testing scope is too big, because that's nothing you want to do. Okay, to actually finish this here, I go back to the top, and in the next video I will show you some mocking with using the Spock framework and the Groovy language, which is really advanced and maybe a little bit off topic, but really nice thing if you like to know how to write really good looking tests. So keep on going, and hopefully I'll see you in that video too. Bye bye.